Speaking of unique mechanics, every character's awakening is different from each other. Some do just boil down to increase power, but there are a number of special awakenings too. For example, some characters will change their entire moveset to fight with a giant weapon or form. Others are even more unique, such as reducing your opponent's field of vision. This is the kind of stuff that I like to see
Oh,
in
that's
anime
cold.
fighters.
Alright, what up, my people? We about to react to Bleach. Rebirth of Souls is disappointing. I've been dying to buy the game because I'm a Bleach fan and I love the anime, but the game just doesn't look that exciting to me. So I really want to know the specifics of how the game works to see if I want to spend 60 bucks on a game that I might not play for. I might stop playing like in a week or two. So let's see what's
Bleach
up with
Rebirth
this.
of Souls is the anime's first console game release since Soul Resurrection 14 years ago in 2011. It's also Bandai Namco's largest anime game release since Sparking Zero in October 2024. So there's a lot
And that's dead already, so
riding on this game's success. If it doesn't do well, then Bleach fans won't be expecting a new Bleach game anytime soon. Bandai
yo, comment below if you guys got the game. If you guys got the game, you guys like it, and in what system you guys have it, so I can know like the opinions of you guys. So
also needs to prove that they can move past the generic anime game formula and put out a competent fighting game with mass appeal. And while I do believe that this game's core gameplay is a massive upgrade from the likes of Jujutsu Kaisen Cursed Clash and My Hero One's Justice, often feeling more like an actual fighting game rather than simply an arena fighter, it's still riddled with many of the problems we've come to expect from a Bandai Namco joint, such as a lack of content, a lazy story mode, and poor optimization. Not to mention, there is a complete joke of a launch with more than half of the PC player base unable to even play the game due to constant crashing, as well as a number of performance issues across all platforms.
to be honest, I don't buy fighting games to play story mode. To be honest, it's either to either play ranked online or to like play versus battles with my friends. Why are you buying a fighting game of an anime you already watched a story for to do the story mode? Like, I don't know.
And with all that being said, let's get into why Bleach Rebirth of Souls is disappointing. The basic gameplay of this game is easily its strongest aspect. Publisher Bandai Namco claims that Rebirth of Souls is a 3D battle action game, and I have to agree. While many are quick to claim that it's an arena fighter, similar to the likes of Naruto Storm, it feels much more in line with a standard 3D fighting game like Soul Calibur. In arena fighters, you're free to move in any direction, whereas here in Rebirth of Souls, you can only move in accordance to your opponent, closer or farther from them, or rotating around them. One gripe I have with this is that when it comes to controls, for some reason up on the joystick is what moves you towards your opponent, while left and right on the joystick is what moves you around your opponent. It's not the end of the world, you do get used to it eventually, but an option to invert the controls to the opposite would have been nice. Moving past the basic movement controls, there are a number of different mechanics and moves at play here. Your basic attacks are divided into what the game calls a rock, paper, scissors-like system. You have quick attacks and flash attacks simply being heavy attacks that can beat breaker attacks. Breaker attacks are just simply unblockable attacks, which can beat guards, where guards can block quick attacks and flash attacks. Nothing really revolutionary here. You have some other attacks too, in the form of signature moves, which differ completely by character, and special flash attacks, which are mainly meant to close space. You also have a spiritual power meter, which is consumed to use spiritual pressure moves, which are essentially your specials. You can also use it to teleport behind your opponent, as well as a reverse action, which can either break you out of an opponent's combo, or temporarily increase your power, and Reishi.
Man, hey,
Reishi
listen,
is your
man. They need to make a game, bro. The game is too choppy, too slow for me. I need like a fast action game, man. Like a fast reaction game. On top of that, bro, Shonen should just make a game with all the Shonen characters. Bro, that would be so hard, bro.
health meter, and health works in a somewhat unique way here. In addition to your health meter, you have what are essentially stocks called Kanpaku, and the goal is to deplete your enemy of all their Kanpaku. So how do you do that? You need to use Kikon moves. Kikon moves are attacks that when landing on an enemy whose Reishi is low enough, will deplete them of one or more of their Kanpaku. You can use a Kikon move when their health is at least 30% or lower, but you'll deplete the most Kanpaku when you deplete their health all the way to 0. Your Keycon moves can also deplete more Kanpaku when you're in your awakened state, which has different effects depending on the character, but will at the very least increase your power. The many different terms do kind of get confusing, especially since some are actual terms from Bleach like Reishi, some are terms from Bleach that mean something completely different like Kanpaku, and some are just completely made up like Keycon. But after spending some time with the game, you do eventually learn them all. I do like the number of different mechanics here. It's got more going on than games like Naruto Storm, and feels much more technical. It can feel at times limiting in terms of combos, but to me, the real meat and potatoes of this game comes down to spacing and resource management. Strategizing how you're going to approach your enemy, when to use your spiritual power, when to use your awakening, whether to use your Keycon move or deplete their health to 0. There's a lot to think about, so you're never just blindly mashing buttons. And honestly, with the way that Kanpaku works in this game, I feel like matches usually tend to be less one-sided, allowing for comebacks even when you're down a few stocks. But also because of the way Kanpaku works, matches are very long. Most characters have about 8 or 9 Kanpaku, but in addition, Keycon moves and awakenings have very long cutscenes. It makes matches cinematic for sure, but it also adds to the runtime of every match. And if you have a main, then you're going to be seeing the same 2 cutscenes over and over again. But despite my few complaints, I've really enjoyed my time with this gameplay. I felt like I had to actually think and strategize when facing my opponents, because matches didn't boil down to who could mash button faster or cheese more special moves. It was also fun to check out all the different characters. Rebirth of Souls roster consists of 32 playable characters, and for the most part, they play pretty differently from one another. Of course, their spiritual pressure moves are different, their signature moves are also different, with some even having their own unique mechanics to them. Speaking of unique mechanics, every character's awakening is different from each other. Some do just boil down to increased power, but there are a number of special awakenings too. For example, some characters will change their entire moveset to fight with a giant weapon or form. Others are even more unique, such as reducing your opponent's field of vision. This is the kind of stuff that I like to see in anime fighters, when the developers really go out with making each character play wildly different from one another with their own unique mechanics. But now, we get to where the positives end. This game's story mode covers from the Substitute arc all the way through the end of the Arrancar arc. And if I told you to imagine a Bandai Namco published anime game story mode, then you probably already have a good idea of what this game mode is like. To be fair, there are fully 3D animated cutscenes for most of the story, as opposed to the classic slideshow, but these cutscenes are simply just the bare minimum. There's little animation, so whenever something is supposed to happen that is beyond characters just walking and talking, they'll simply cut away. The pacing of these cutscenes is also pretty terrible. Characters just stand around awkwardly for seconds on end before stating their stilted dialogue. It's also an awful way for newcomers to the Bleach franchise to learn the story because they just skip entire segments or just don't explain things in a coherent manner. The gameplay of the story mode isn't much better, as it's simply regular battles. There are some battles where you fight hollows, but they're never very interesting or unique. When you fight against actual opponents, you do need to strategize, but when you face these hollow enemies, you can just get by with mashing buttons. And that's really it for the story mode. The cutscenes are lazy and the gameplay is repetitive. So like I said, the standard anime game story mode. In terms of other single player offerings, you can play normal matches or mission mode, but mission mode is just your standard arcade mode where you fight a series of enemies in a row. And that's really it for the single player content. If you want to actually get some amount of worth out of this game, you're going to need to go play online. But that also comes with its very own problems too.
Nah, man.
Since you're new to H&R Block, we'll go through your tax returns from the past 3 years for any money your last guy might have missed.
It is not looking
good. Out of the matches
gang.
I played, there were only a couple where I had a laggy experience. It was, surprisingly, for the most part, pretty smooth. But that doesn't mean the online gets off easy. For starters, there is no ranked mode. This I really don't understand.
See, I just said it in the
Apparently
beginning.
It was leaked in the game's files, but as of March 21st, this game's launch day, there's no ranked, which is just ridiculous. You can play free matches or lobby matches, but neither has any form of progression. This also means that I have no idea what matchmaking is based off of. For the most part, my matches were pretty even, but there were a couple where I would completely curb stomp the opponent, or my opponent would completely curb stomp me. And since there's no ranked, or even any sign of how long my opponents have played for, I never know if it's going to be a one-sided match or not, which is sure to frustrate many players in the long run. But this is all under the assumption they even find a match in the first place. You can say how restrictive your matchmaking is based on proximity and connection, but I only ever found matches by leaving both options completely unrestricted. and even then there were times where it would take me upwards of 5 minutes to find a match. And again,
man,
this is on
the
launch
same thing
day,
that happened
which
with
is a
Sparky
terrible sign
Zero.
for things going forward. I guess another positive I can praise is the presentation. The visuals, outside of the story mode cutscenes, look very good. The in-game cutscenes look awesome, the animations are fluid, and the character models look great. I've seen others complain about the visuals in matches, but for me they look consistently good. I also appreciate the flair and style that this game has going on. The menus, the loading screens, the musical cues, there's a lot of personality here, which is something that I feel like many anime fighters miss out on. Now we get to this game's launch. It was riddled with problems, mainly on PC. The Steam page for Rebirth of Souls is currently sitting at mixed reviews, but when the game first launched, it had a mostly negative rating. This is because for many players, the game was just essentially unplayable. Constant crashing, resolution issues, audio issues, it was just a complete mess. Luckily, I didn't run into many problems. When I first started the game, I did have no audio, but after closing and reopening a couple of times, things eventually ran smoothly. I never noticed any crashing or performance issues on my end, even when playing at max graphical settings. But that luck just didn't appear for many PC players. It was so bad, in fact, that Bandai had to come out and say that there was a problem and was asking users to report their issues. Which, I mean, I guess it's a good thing that they're acknowledging it and not going radio silent, but for a full-priced $60 game to release, to just be unplayable for half of your player base
$60
is absolutely
crazy.
unacceptable. Other platforms, while not as bad, were not free from problems either. Users constantly posting about performance issues, low graphics, even on high-end consoles like the PS5 Pro. These problems are ridiculous and should not be coming from a company as big as Bandai Namco. I want to like Bleach Rebirth of Souls. I really do like the combat, the variety of characters, and the visuals, but everything surrounding those positives is just awful. There's a severe lack of content and nothing to do in game. The story mode is lackluster with boring cutscenes and repetitive gameplay. The other single player offerings aren't anything special either. There are some random collectibles you can unlock, but unless you care about power-ups that practically aren't noticeable in battle, then you won't care to collect them. The online is also lacking content with no ranked mode. There's no sense of progression, you're not working towards anything. The gameplay is fun, yes, but if you don't earn anything, there's nothing to show for your hard work, then what's the point? And the performance issues are completely unacceptable. Bandai Namco expects you to pay $60 just for a game that possibly won't even be playable, or if it is, then it'll be riddled with performance issues. I'm assuming these problems will be fixed in the near future, but I'm afraid it'll already be too late by then. Half of the players excited to play this on launch will have already given up and refunded the game, and any publicity about this piss-poor launch will only persuade others to not buy the game. And honestly, I'd probably urge you too to not buy the game. I feel bad for Bleach fans. Now, because of Bandai Namco's incompetency, this game will probably be a commercial failure, which means that Bleach probably won't be getting another console game anytime soon. What also sucks is that this game has potential. I like the gameplay, but with nothing to keep you playing, no good single player content, and no ranked online, no one's going to want to stick with it. I would really like to give this game a 7 out of 10, but Bandai just makes it so difficult for me to praise them. But the real question is, should you even buy it? I'd say for the time being, no. If Bandai eventually releases a patch, which, I mean, they probably will, then I'd say if you're a massive Bleach fan, it'll be worth it at full price, but if you're already on the fence about picking it up, then at that point, I definitely urge you to just wait for a sale. I find it funny how every review of mine where I cover a new Bandai Namco published anime game ends the exact same way, where I say that I'd like to rate the game higher, but on principle I just can't. And ultimately, I only recommend picking it up if it gets a discount or if you really like the source material. Bandai will never learn because they'll probably still make some profit with this game, but only because Bleach fans feel the need to support this game, or else they'll never get another Bleach game, possibly ever. It's a rough cycle. I thought things would change after Sparking Zero, but it's really not looking too good.
This is insane, man. I must say it though. I mean, Storm, bro, all the Ninja Storm games, to me, I like them. Gameplay is crazy. I mean, story mode, I always say story mode for these anime games is never going to be like what you want them to be, bro. But for Ninja Storm, to me, is worth it. But yeah, this ain't it, man. I'm not getting it. Like, off of what he said, I'm gonna wait for a sale. Maybe I can get it in Game Pass. Maybe, you know, I don't know. But it ain't looking nice, man. If any of y'all got the game, man, it's what he's saying, you know, valid. I hope if they add a rank later on, it's like I hate playing without a purpose. Playing without a purpose makes no sense. Why would you make a game with no rank in this day and age, where every video game got a ranked mode, every video game got a at least leveled up? You know what I'm saying? Like, what am I playing for? Just the achievements on Xbox? Just to maximize the achievements, just to get the, and it's $60. It's like almost every game $60 now. It's not even worth it. That game, you're gonna get bored of it in 2 weeks. I'm not paying $60 for a game, especially when there's games that come out for. I can play Warzone for free, and I don't get bored. I don't get bored of Warzone, bro. Like, this is, bro. Banco need to do better, bro, with these games. They should just say F it. Make a game with all the characters they have in one. Make a Marvel vs. Capcom type shit. You feel me? Like, that's what they need to do. Because this ain't it. This game's trash. Dog water. The graphics are I don't like when games, fighting games especially, have a long, like for example, Mortal Kombat. Their fatality don't last that much. You know what I'm saying? Cool, it looks nice. The graphics are nice. The fatality, you know, it looks really, really good, but it doesn't last a minute. And what he's talking about, how I'm looking at it, they probably last a long ass time. And you know Bleach, that's why they made it. Bleach is in the Bleach anime, it's just like that. So they wanted to make it the most realistic as possible to the anime. But it's not that. I'm not trying to spend 25 minutes, 20 minutes on one battle, bro. I'm trying to play 20. I'm a grown ass man, bro. I have a job. I have a 9 to 5. I want to come home and I want to play me at least 5 rounds per hour. Feel me? I'm not trying to play a whole battle royale and last 20 minutes playing a fucking fighting game. Man, I'm not getting it, man. Let me know in the comments below if y'all get in the game, and if y'all think I should get it. Feel me? Because Sparking Zero getting bored of me. I'm telling you, I'm getting bored of Sparking Zero, and I don't even have that many hours in it, bro. I only have 100 hours. I know people that have like 300, 400 hours, bro. And it's like, what else can you do to the game? Once you maximize the ranking on Sparking Zero, it's like, why keep going, man? Feel me? Like, why keep going? Unless you're playing co-op, or unless you're playing like on a lobby, local. You know what I'm saying? There's no purpose. Let me know, man. Until next one, Cisco Rush, out.